Hey guys, it's Jay.
John Gamester, what's up?
Hey man, what's going on?
Jay,
nice to finally meet you.
Absolutely.
And I can't believe you're on the set. I've watched your show so much, so to see you on my set is very weird. So if you don't know who this is Gamester81. Explain your channel to our viewers, basically. What is it about, and what are you talking about?
I do a lot of system reviews. I do a lot of gaming reviews, a little bit of video game reviews, more retro focused based. But
tons, right?
Yeah, a ton of retro, but I do some modern stuff too. Yeah.
So what I've noticed about your videos is you really have like a deep love for really old retro systems. Like some of them I can't even pronounce, or I don't even know much about that much retro. So in terms of like how many retro systems do you own?
Wow, probably over 200.
Do you prefer the arcade classic cabinets, or did you get into that more when you were a kid, or did you get into more of the home consoles? Like, what really knocked you over the edge to love video games? Was it one or the other?
Well, my favorite one is right here, this Donkey Kong, the stand-up
This
one.
really?
Yeah, it's awesome. The Coleco one, that's sweet. I grew up on the ColecoVision, and then my neighbor had the Atari 2600, and that's kind of what got me into video games. But obviously, the NES came out, and you know, most of us know what that is, and just fell in love with that, and kind of been in love with video games ever since.
There was this pizza place where I was growing up, and they had, I think it's called Arkanoid.
Oh yeah.
Is it Arkanoid?
Yeah, the one with the
little
dial.
Yeah, you had the little dial in the back and forth. And my mom actually got addicted to that.
Oh,
and
wow.
we would go and eat pizza and just play Arkanoid.
It's such a hard game, man.
Touch displays and the whole like resurgence of classic arcades. How do you feel about that stuff that's sort of like a second wind to arcades, but it really isn't arcades? It's sort of just
actually like it. I think it's introducing a new generation into more of the retro games. I've been downloading a lot of the Pinball Arcade on the iPad.
Yeah, so some of your videos.
Yeah, so I think it's great. I mean, they've got some great tables on there. Star Trek Next Generation, I'm a big Trekkie, but that's on there as one of the games you can play.
You're not only a Trekkie, there's something else you should mention.
Yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars nut.
And you also, if you're a huge Star Wars fan out there, you also do have another channel.
I do, yeah, Star Wars Nut 77.
Which is epic, by the way. If you like anything Star Wars, you review like anything from like a toy that came in a cereal box.
The retro stuff to like, modern day stuff.
Yeah, like I saw you did a retro, not a retro, so you did a review of the 360 that looked like R2-D2 and C3.
Did that, and that was kind of a skit. I don't usually do too many skits, but every once in a while I'll throw in I'll skit and kind of change it up a little bit.
What are your hopes and dreams about the new trilogy or the new sort of side movies they're going to do?
You know, I mean, at first I had mixed feelings about Disney purchasing.
Yeah.
You know,
LucasArts, you must feel a little.
Dude, kills me. Well, you know, first of all, a lot of us bitch about the prequels and, you know, Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
Many of us, I should say all of us, but a lot of us, and I think George kind of had done what he did with Star Wars, and he was pretty much done with it. I mean, I'm assuming with the, you know, Star Wars. I don't know what's going to happen to Star Wars 1313. I think it's scrapped, right? I mean,
well, there's a chance that they might just take what they have and just give it to another company.
Yeah, farm it out to someone else.
Valve and J.J. Abrams, the director of the next episode, they're working together actually on a Half-Life movie or a Left 4 Dead movie. No one really knows what it is, but the other side of the coin is Abrams is actually working on a game with them. Wouldn't it make sense if Abrams also sort of directed the video game of the movie with Valve in mind at the same time? And like, if you line up the timelines, it sort of seems like they
could be. He could also do Star Trek. I mean, I know there's a new Star Trek game coming out, what, a couple weeks from now?
Yeah, he could be. It could be another.
But it could be another Star Trek game as well. I mean, it's cool that JJ's kind of involved with both franchises, and I'm sure there's a lot of Star Wars fans who just can't stand Star Trek, and vice versa.
So that's just my theory.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That would be my hopes and dreams.
It's too bad about LucasArts, and we'll see what happens with Disney. And you know, I know there are rumors of getting Harrison Ford back, and you know, Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill with the next series.
Well, it's pretty much almost a done deal.
Yeah.
It's like a matter of like a signature, probably, right? Harrison Ford, I feel like he's old and grumpy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not going to be the same Han Solo that we know and love for Empire. He's going to be older, and there's going to be certain things about him we're not going to like just because he's older. Yeah. And I think people are just waiting for like a Han Solo character to come in. If they do have the next cast in it, I think it should be that Luke is training his kids, Han and Leia's kids, to be Jedis. So there should be a boy and a girl, and then the story should be about those two.
Have you read any of the Timothy Zahn?
Exactly.
I mean, if they have twins, you know. And,
that's what I kind of want them to do.
It's gonna be interesting because they're spraying away from that whole Timothy Zahn Heir of the Empire trilogy that's no longer going to be canon, or I guess it wasn't really necessarily canon anyway with Star Wars, but it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm excited. You know, I think Disney, my expectations have even grown more since they're cutting all these setbacks with Star Wars and getting rid of all these shows and LucasArts and Industrial Light and Magic. Like, what's going to happen with that? Are they going to axe Industrial Light and Magic as well, and all these?
I don't think so.
And all this.
See, like THX is a standard. I think that Disney is basically cleaning house and building up new teams the way that they see fit for the new trilogies. Why would Disney pay $4 billion and then axe all these really cool projects?
Yeah.
For sure, it's just, if you look into history, these things don't happen unless they have plans. I think the next 10 to 15 years, we have a lot of Star Wars coming at us. I think there's going to be television show, there's going to be the films, the one-off films, video games on next-gen systems.
As a big fan, though, I don't want to get Star Wars overload, you know? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. See, I'm mixed feelings about that because I just think you can milk it too much, you know? Like you see with video games today. I mean, franchises today, I think they really milk it too much, you know? Like,
look at Call of Duty.
I was going to say Call of Duty, but I know there's a lot of fanboys out there, you know? But Call of Duty.
Oh my God, you make fun of Call of Duty, oh my God. That's what's going to happen, right?
Look what they did with Guitar Hero, that's done. You know, they killed that.
Well, they put it into the ground, basically. Yeah. And they knew that's what they do nowadays, I feel like. They have one franchise and then they nail it into the ground, just like Halo.
Dude, Assassin's Creed's the next one, man. Like,
yeah,
they just came out with Assassin's Creed 3. Now they're coming out with a fourth one this year.
It's too soon. It's way too soon. How do you feel about the changes? Because I'm watching the Blu-rays, and all of a sudden I start noticing things. Like, for instance, he throws the Empire down the hole, and just before he does that, when Luke's being electrocuted to death, he actually yells no. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah.
So they added another
that
yell.
That was Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, they added him yelling again.
No! Yeah, that was stupid.
Why?
I don't know. It's the same thing with adding the new Anakin Skywalker at the very end.
Yeah,
right?
He shouldn't be young again. I guess I get the idea that he's going back to when he was nice.
Does not belong in that. I mean, in my opinion, it's the original actor that played that role.
How did you feel about Episode 1?
Huge expectations, obviously.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. A lot of people hate it. I didn't love it necessarily. I like Darth Maul as a really cool character. I thought Darth Maul was pretty
And the pod racing's pretty cool.
And the pod racing is cool, and I saw it in 3D, and that was cool. But one thing that's always interested me about Star Wars, though, is when you watch A New Hope, and there's that scene where Luke is talking about to Obi-Wan, and he's talking about the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
How come Obi-Wan doesn't recognize C-3PO or R2-D2?
That's another thing.
You know, I'm like, what?
And then maybe Lucas was just thinking maybe he's not telling him on purpose because he wants to send Luke on that adventure.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe.
These movies were written 30 years before, 20 years before, so, you know, whatever. But they didn't really... And you know, everything's so advanced in the prequels, too. Like, all the technology and stuff's cool, whereas the original trilogy, pretty basic. But
yeah, I thought it's like falling apart.
Return of the Sith is by far my favorite of the prequels. I thought he did a nice job of tying it at the end and, you know, seeing the ships and stuff at the very end and all that good stuff, so absolutely.
What is your favorite retro game? Can you answer that?
Favorite retro game? That's a tough question, man, because there's so many.
Like, is there one that you played as a kid that just is fond memories? Because usually people tie that into that.
Well, are you talking about like arcade or are you talking about like console?
Well, let's go arcade cabinet first.
Okay, first I have two top arcades. One of them is Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
The other one is the classic Star Wars by Atari.
Yeah.
T3, the vector
I remember
graphics
that one, the vector
awesome.
graphics.
Yeah. I like Tapper. I don't know if you ever played Tapper with the beer tappers and
that's
awesome. It's cool too. And they have like an area you can put your beer, which is pretty badass, I think.
Yeah.
As far as consoles game, Link to the Past is one of my favorites.
Same here.
I love the Donkey Kong Country trilogy, Final Fantasy 2, 3, Super Nintendo obviously I love. But even like back to like the NES times, I like Mario Brothers 3 is one of my favorite games of all time.
For sure. Do you have a current system that you like the most in this generation?
You know, I definitely probably play my 360 the most.
Is there a reason for that? Because of Xbox Live? Or?
Well, Xbox Live is one of them, Online capability is a little bit better, and nothing's wrong with PS3 necessarily, but I just think the menu layout is a little better.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, PS3 is a little behind times.
Yeah. You know, Far Cry 3, absolutely love that game last year.
Yeah,
It's like one of my favorite games. Walking Dead, the one by Telltale, not the one that just came out.
Yeah.
Stay away from that, but that's like, what a story. I mean, if you guys haven't checked that game out, do yourself a favor. You can get it really cheap. And it's like one of those story-driven games. And
well, you know what it reminded me of? LucasArts.
Yeah,
Point and click.
Well, a lot of the guys from LucasArts back in the day went to Telltale.
We're there. Yeah, exactly. You know Myst?
Yeah.
Myst is like is sort of the template for a lot of games nowadays.
Yeah, first-person perspective.
Yeah, like this first-person sort of like mystery where you just drop somewhere and you have no idea where you are.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love those games. Like Sanitarium. I don't know if you played that on PC.
Yeah.
That's getting re-released, reissued, and I'm going to definitely have to pick that up.
Did they release Myst on the 3DS?
Yeah, it is on the 3DS.
Yeah, that's funny.
And that's amazing.
It tells you just the longevity of that story and the game itself. It's just like, it's a classic.
So another thing that's amazing that you do, and I've been on the podcast, you do this podcast. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's called the All Gen Gamers Podcast, and it's with me and then good friend Pete Dorr. He's got a YouTube channel, and then we all have YouTube channels. And then Mel Jesus Rocks, and then we had Johnny Millennium on there as well, and he's kind of a reoccurring every once in a while. He'll be back on. Happy Haunted Gamer, so a lot of people know him as. Then we have the EMU review, and I think that's everyone, right? Did I say Mel Jesus Rocks? Okay. And then myself.
Metal Jesus and Pete have really long hair.
Yeah,
I like to make
so we all kind of have different interests in games, and we just we don't really have a script necessarily. It's a weekly podcast. We talk about all generations of games.
And it's been going years now.
Yeah, we're on like episode 130 something. So yeah,
that's
a couple
nuts.
of years. Yeah, it's nuts. So it's cool. We have a lot of cool guests. We had Howard Phillips on recently from Nintendo. And he was on as a guest. We've had you guys on as guests, which was great.
Yeah, I was on.
We'll have to get you on, and Kat and Mike on as well.
Yeah, it'd be amazing to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, to check out All Gen Gamers, we have a website, allgengamers.com, and we're on iTunes, and got a website I run, Gamester81.com. You guys can check that out as well. Got some good
actually, we should mention that a little bit more. Your website is sort of a collection of a ton of different retro players in the field.
Yeah.
Like you've got... who do you got on there? You've got some crazy people on there.
Well, Mel Just Rocks, Game Chasers post their videos on there, which is cool. Good guys, good friends of mine.
So check that out. Link in the inner bar as well.
Awesome.
To his personal channel, to the website, to the podcast, and also to his Star Wars channel. All right, so thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
Awesome.
It's amazing to finally meet you.
Absolutely.
You do a lot of conventions too.
I do.
Do you got anything coming up, or you're pretty busy right now, aren't you?
Nothing to me. I want to do Portland, hopefully this year in October.
Yeah, Portland.
E3 would be sweet. I'd love to go to E3, obviously. I think there's going to be some huge news. But yeah, Portland Retro Gaming Expo is what I'm referring to when I say Portland.
Yeah, exactly. I think Game Chasers, Pat.
Yeah.
A bunch of those guys are going to be there.
Yeah, the Retroware crew is going to be there, and I think All Gen Gamers will hopefully all be there.
You want to hear something crazy? I got invited to Philly to Too Many Games Expo.
Yeah, I've heard that's pretty cool.
To roast AVGN.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. You gonna go?
Yeah, literally. I'm 15-hour bus ride.
Yeah, sweet.
But I'm literally on the panel that's getting to roast him. So
nice.
I'm trying to make him cry.
Very cool. That'd be awesome.
What's really amazing to see the set fall apart. What's amazing is to actually see or meet people in person and see if they're different.
Yeah.
You know, because like sometimes like I talk to Johnny a lot.
Yeah.
And he's always, as I like to put it, he's always crazy.
Yeah.
He's very intense, as Fraser from Video Games Awesome calls Johnny. Intense. He's always like very video games and stuff. Yeah. And then I met Fraser from Video Game Awesome, and he was an asshole.
Yeah?
No.